Today's lesson is called Becoming Michelle Obama. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
I am Roger. Today we're going to continue talking about Michelle Obama. It's the second day in which we're going to talk about her. So today, of course, we're going to talk mainly about her life after leaving the White House, after she was no longer the FLOTUS, or the First Lady of the United States.
There you go. There's POTUS, and that's an acronym referring to the President of the United States of America. And then there's the FLOTUS, the First Lady of the United States. And yes, Michelle Obama was a fantastic First Lady there for 8 years. She accomplished a whole lot with the power she had as the First Lady of the United States. Now, was this official power? No, but still she used her influence, and she used it quite well. Now, speaking of unofficial power and unofficial titles, I'm sure you guys remember how on day one, she kind of put her career aside when her husband was elected president. And when this happened, she decided to become a mom again, to focus on motherhood. And she gave herself this really cute title. She gave herself the title Mom-in-Chief. And you know, I totally missed this on day one. Mom-in-Chief sounds a whole lot like Commander-in-Chief. Yes, the POTUS, the President of the United States, is known as the Commander-in-Chief. And she called herself the Mom-in-Chief because she was devoting herself fully to motherhood while FLOTUS there. How cool. Anyways, yes, we focused on the early life of Michelle Obama on day one and some of her activities as FLOTUS. Let's go ahead and start day two. We'll be moving from this point forward in Michelle Obama's life. So everyone, let's go ahead and kick things off.
Since leaving the White House in 2017, Michelle Obama has continued to make public appearances to support women's causes. She has called for more attention to young girls' education and the inclusion of women in tech companies and politics. Addressing sexual harassment, she urged people to teach girls to speak up from an early age because it takes practice to have a voice.
各位好，第一部分我们看到一个片语 call for， 代表公开呼吁或要求，用法为 call for something 或 call for somebody to 接动词。举例来说 The chief of police has called for any information regarding the robbery in exchange for a reward. 警察局长呼吁提供任何有关这起抢案的讯息可获得赏金。又或者说 Today's environmental problems call for people to work together to find a solution. 今日的环境问题需要大家一起努力找出解决方案。接着我们看到的单字是名词 inclusion， 有包括或包含之意。例如 One of the inclusions in this book was a poem that my friend had written. 这本书中包含一篇我朋友写的诗。另外补充 inclusion 的形容词为 inclusive， I-N-C-L-U-S-I-V-E inclusive 指包含的或兼容并蓄的。我们可以说 The high school teacher encouraged debate and did her best to create an inclusive environment for all students. 那名高中教师鼓励辩论，并尽力为所有学生打造兼容并蓄的环境。
Here we go, everybody. We're going to discuss the first part of today's lesson, so let's get to it, everybody. And here it begins by saying, since leaving the White House in 2017, Michelle Obama has continued to make public appearances to support women's causes. So since or after leaving the White House, when Barack Obama was no longer the president, of course, they were no longer welcome to stay in the White House. They had to leave. But, you know, they still had lives after being the president and the first lady. So, of course, Trump won the election in 2016, and they left the White House in 2017. So after that, she has continued to make public appearances. So if you make a public appearance, that means people can see you in public, outside somewhere. Maybe she showed up giving speeches, or she gave speeches at graduation ceremonies, or went to schools to meet with kids and stuff like that. You could actually see her, meet her, talk with her, etc. in public.
There you go. Very often, when a president leaves office, okay, that president want some time alone. After all, if you're the president, you're pretty much the most powerful person on earth and one of the most famous people on earth. You're always in the public eye. So after you're out of office, after your presidential term ends, you kind of want to take a breather. I believe George W. Bush has done this. He's left the public eye after leaving the White House. Now, that has not been the case, though, for Barack Obama. He remains in the public eye. He still makes public appearances quite often, and the same goes for Michelle Obama as well. It's very stressful being the FLOTUS there. You are in the public eye all the time. You are the focus of a whole lot of attention, so it makes sense to maybe want to leave that and to return to private civilian life after being the POTUS or the FLOTUS like Michelle Obama. But hey, Michelle Obama, she wants to stay in the public eye and use her influence for good. She wants to influence the world in positive ways, so she has continued to make public appearances, especially to support things like women's causes. How about that? Now, it says here next that she has called for more attention to young girls' education and the inclusion of women in tech companies and politics. Now, before we move on here, we've got this phrase, call for. And here, we're not talking about using a phone, let's say, to call someone or anything like that. No, here to call for something is to ask for something forcefully. When you call for something, you want change. You're almost demanding that change.
Right, so she wants there to be more attention paid to young girls' education, and she also wants more women to be included in tech companies like computer companies, computer software companies, etc., etc. I guess they're underrepresented in those particular companies, and she wants to see more women in those types of companies. So when you talk about the inclusion of something, you talk about someone being included there, that they are part of the team, they are working there as well. So indeed, she wants more women to pursue STEM careers, as we call them. What is it? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So she wants to see them more represented in those fields. And moving on here, it says, addressing sexual harassment, she urged people to teach girls to speak up from an early age because it takes practice to have a voice. So, of course, this is a hot topic in the United States these days. Sexual harassment. Harassment is from the verb to harass, which means you bother somebody when they don't want to be bothered. You don't leave them alone. And if it's sexual harassment, that mostly means men are hitting on women in the office when they're not supposed to be, making rude comments or sexually suggestive jokes and things like that. That could be considered sexual harassment. So she's addressing this, she's talking about this, and this is what she said all about that.
There you go. You can't talk about women's causes these days without mentioning sexual harassment. There's the Me Too movement and all that stuff right now. There's a lot going on as far as sexual harassment is concerned. People are trying to confront this, and they're trying to get rid of it because sexual harassment has no place in our society. Like Roger said before, sexual harassment usually involves men hitting on women when they don't want to be hit on. Very often this happens in the workplace. Maybe one of your colleagues or maybe your boss comes over and starts making advances towards you, and you feel uncomfortable. You're thinking, oh, this other person is my boss. They're my colleague. They might be in a position of power, or I don't want to alienate them somehow. So you kind of have to deal with or live with and endure this strange, harassing behavior when you shouldn't have to. And that's what sexual harassment is all about. It's sexually aggressive behavior that makes other people uncomfortable and uneasy. And like I said before, this has no place in the workplace. Everyone should go to work and be left alone to do their jobs. They shouldn't feel like they have to listen to garbage like this. Hey, baby, you look great. Let's hit the town tonight and stuff like that. That's totally unacceptable. Anyways, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break. But don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
The process of developing a voice is something that Michelle describes in her memoir, Becoming. The book talks about her growing up in a mainly black working-class neighborhood and adjusting to a world of wealth and privilege when she entered Princeton. It also reveals the challenges she faced in trying to conceive her daughters, Malia and Sasha, and how she wanted them to have a normal childhood despite growing up in the White House. The book doesn't exclude some of the difficulties she and Barack faced in their marriage either. According to Michelle, the couple had to go to marriage counseling in order to learn how to talk out their differences.
第二部分我们看到一个单字 memoir， 这个字是名词，指传记或回忆录。例如 The Iron Lady was a movie adapted by the memoir of Margaret Thatcher. 铁娘子是由柴契尔夫人的传记所改编而成的电影。再来我们看到的动词是 conceive， 课文中指怀孕、受孕。举例来说 The couple was able to conceive after seeing a fertility specialist. 那对夫妻找生育专科医师看诊后就能怀孕了。而 conceive 除了怀孕的意思之外，还有想象、构想之意。所以可以说 The author conceived of her first bestseller while waiting for a dentist appointment. 那名作家在等待看牙医的时候，构思出他的第一本畅销书。接着我们看到一个单字 counseling 为不可数名词，指諮商、咨询。像是 Neil and Vivian went to marriage counseling several times before they decided to get married. Neil 和 Vivian 在决定结婚之前去过婚姻咨商几次。另外去除字尾的 ing 则可以成为单字 counsel， 可以当名词或动词使用。当名词时指辩护律师或律师群。举例来说 Tom acted as counsel for his brother during the criminal trial. Tom 在他哥哥的犯罪审判上担任他的辩护律师。而当动词时则是指建议、劝告。我们可以说 My friend counseled me about what to take notice of when moving to a new division. 我的朋友建议我在转换到新领域时应该注意些什么。
It's time to move on to the second part of our lesson for today. It begins by saying the process of developing a voice is something that Michelle describes in her memoir, Becoming. Remember, at the end of the first part of our lesson for today, we were talking about what Michelle Obama said about sexual harassment. It takes practice to have a voice. A voice, of course, is what you sound like when you talk, your voice. But here, having a voice means being able to be heard by other people. So if you want to develop a voice, have a voice where people can hear you, well, that's what she'll describe in her memoir, Becoming. So here we're talking about her latest book, her memoir, which is entitled Becoming. This is a memoir, which is basically something that someone writes about their life. It's similar to an autobiography. It may contain more essays or something. To me, a memoir and an autobiography are basically the same thing.
There you go. It sounds about right to me. Anyways, the name of her memoir is Becoming. She's talking about becoming the person she is now, and she's telling you all about her experiences and the things that she's learned in life and the things she remembers, etc. This is what happens in a memoir for the most part. Anyways, more on this book, this memoir called Becoming. The book talks about her growing up in a mainly black working-class neighborhood and adjusting to a world of wealth and privilege when she entered Princeton. So remember, on day one, we talked about how Michelle Obama grew up on the south side of Chicago, and she was far from rich. In fact, she was very, very poor. In fact, she grew up in a house that was so small that she didn't have a bedroom. She and her brother slept in the living room of that house in the south side of Chicago, in this poor part of Chicago. But that all changed when she became a great student. Remember, she excelled in school, and she got into one of the best universities on earth, Princeton University. And when she got there, she had to adjust. Okay, she went from the south side of Chicago to Princeton, which is a world of wealth and privilege. Yeah, rich kids and privileged kids very often go to Ivy League schools like Princeton. So Michelle Obama, she had to adjust. Anyways, before we move on here, let's talk about the word privilege here, okay? If you live a world of privilege, you have been given all the advantages in the world. You have a special status, or you have special rights that other people do not have. Yeah, privilege is given to some and not to others.
Privilege is similar to a right, R-I-G-H-T, a right. You might have a right to education or a right to health care or something like that, but a privilege is something that you need to earn. But here we often talk about white privilege in the United States. We also also talk about rich privilege, when rich people can get things that other people don't. So she had to get used to this when she went to Princeton because, hey, rich people have special privileges, and she was not used to that coming from a poor background. It also reveals the challenges she faced in trying to conceive her daughters Malia and Sasha, and how she wanted them to have a normal childhood despite growing up in the White House. Okay, so here in this sentence, we've got the word conceive, which basically means to become pregnant. So she had difficulty becoming pregnant with her daughters. She'll talk about that in the book. If you're a woman or if you're a man, you may be interested in that. If you're married and you're having trouble having children and you want children, you might get some ideas from this book. Again, we're talking about conceiving, and the noun is conception. When we talk about conception, that's when the baby actually starts. And again, the verb there is to conceive, so I guess they had some trouble with that.
Yes, I believe the article says it best. It says it also reveals the challenges she faced in trying to conceive her daughters. But there's more, okay? It reveals the challenges she faced in trying to conceive these daughters and how she wanted them to have a normal childhood despite growing up in the White House. And yes, this is why she took that title, Mom-in-Chief, really, really seriously, okay? First of all, she wanted to devote herself to motherhood, to make sure that her daughters grew up properly and they grew up well. But she also wanted to make sure that growing up in the White House didn't adversely affect them, okay? Growing up in the White House as a kid, it can't be easy, okay? How can you be a normal kid living in the White House? You're the kid of the President of the United States and the First Lady of the United States. That has got to warp you somehow. So Michelle Obama wanted to make sure that this did not happen to her daughters. And there's more. The book doesn't exclude some of the difficulties she and Barack faced in their marriage either. So it's kind of no holds barred here. She said everything. She revealed everything. Even the fact that she and her husband, Barack, the President of the United States there, had problems and difficulties in their marriage.
And according to Michelle, the couple had to go to marriage counseling in order to learn how to talk out their differences. So yes, indeed, they're the First Lady and the President. You might think, oh, they don't have any problems. They're on top of the world, but they probably certainly had lots of pressure in their marriage, and they probably had lots of arguments. So they went to a marriage counselor, and that's marriage counseling, when you need to resolve your differences, talk things out, understand each other, iron out your problems, etc., etc. So they did have to go to marriage counseling in order to learn how to talk out their differences. And here the verb phrase talk out means you basically express yourself. You get to say what you want to say. You get to express your feelings without being interrupted, and everybody gets to say what they want to say, and hopefully everybody is listened to and understood. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Here's the third part. Let's listen.
The grace and candor with which she appears before the public eye, along with her outstanding personal achievements, proves she's not just a former First Lady. Michelle Obama is a true inspiration in her own right.
最后第三部分，我们看到一个名词 Candor， 指坦率或真诚。例如 Peter always talks with candor, so most of the people believe him.Peter 说话时都充满真诚，所以大部分的人都相信他。
Anyways, let's go ahead and start wrapping up our lesson. The final paragraph of our lesson begins by saying, the grace and candor with which she appears before the public eye, along with her outstanding personal achievements, proves she's not just a former First Lady. Michelle Obama is a true inspiration in her own right. Now, we've got a lot to talk about here. First of all, candor. That's the ability to be open and honest with people. If you have candor, that means you can talk to people and they will believe you. You talk to them directly and you express yourself honestly and clearly. And Michelle Obama, she sure is full of candor. She is a true inspiration to everyone in her own right. Now, this is an important phrase right now. In her own right, okay? If you do something in your own right, that means it's because of you and not someone else, okay? Michelle Obama has done a lot, but it has nothing to do with her being married to Barack Obama, okay? These things that she did, they were because of her and who she was, and not because of anyone or anything else.
Right, and remember this paragraph also says that she had outstanding personal achievements, which would be her growing up in poverty but still going to Princeton, to Harvard, to being the First Lady of the United States. And we're describing those achievements as being outstanding, which means really, really great. They stand out. So all those things prove that she's more than just the wife of the president. She has been an inspiration in her own right, an inspiration to all of us. And inspiration here is the noun form of the verb to inspire. An inspiration just means something that inspires you in your life. It makes you feel happy about life. It gives you goals in your life. I'm sure a lot of young girls look up to her and think, hey, if she can do that, I can do that too. Not only to become the First Lady of the United States, but to become the president herself. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始提到 Since leaving the White House in 2017, Michelle Obama has continued to make public appearances to support women's causes. 自从2017年离开白宫之后，蜜雪儿·奥巴马她持续公开露面来支持女性的公益事业。好，句子里面这个 cause 在这里它是当名词，它有理想、目标的意思，通常是指由一群人所支持啊，或是去争取的事业、目标或是理想。那当我们说 something is for a good cause， 就表示那件事是为了行善，是为了公益事业。好，另外句子里面有一个片语叫 make an appearance， 表示露面啊，或是亮相、出现、现身。那这通常是指短暂出现。那我们课文里面说到 make public appearances， 意思就是公开露面。好，我们来造个例句。The mayor made an appearance at the parade。市长有出现在那场游行里面呢，短暂露面一下。好，顺便补充一个跟 appearance 相关的片语。Keep up appearances 字面上的意思是维持表面，那它其实就类似中文的做表面功夫啊，撑场面，或者像什么打肿脸充胖子的意思。好 appearances 在这个片语里面呢，它固定是用复数形哦。例如Kate spent most of her money on fancy clothes so as to keep up appearances. Kate 为了撑场面，把大部分的钱都花在很昂贵华丽的衣服上面。好，读到课文第一部分的最后一句，他说 Addressing sexual harassment, she urged people to teach girls to speak up from an early age because it takes practice to have a voice. 处理性骚扰议题的时候呢，他敦促人们要教女孩从小开始表达意见，因为勇于发声是需要练习的。好，句子里面这个 voice 它不是指声音哦，而是指表达意见的权利啊，发言权。那么 voice 其实也可以当动词来表达发声或是配音，那它也有表达的语义，像是我们要表达意见啊，表达感受可以用 voice。好，另外课文里面用到 speak up 这个片语，它本来有提高嗓门、大声讲话的意思。好，那当我们要公开表达意见的时候，是不是就必须大声讲话？所以 speak up 也可以表达出为了某个人去辩护或者是抗议某件事情，然后毫无顾忌的直接表达看法。我们就可以用 speak up for something 来表达公开支持某事物，或者是 speak up for somebody, speak up for oneself 来表达为某人来发声辩护、仗义直言。例如The actress has continually spoken up for animal rights. 那位女演员持续为动物的权利来发声。好，顺便补充一下 ，speak out 这个片语它也有大声说出来、大胆直言的意思。我们常常会用 speak out against 加上名词来表达挺身而出去反对什么，公开表明去反对什么。例如We must speak out against domestic violence. 我们必须挺身而出来反对家暴。好，以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Harassment. No one should ever have to deal with harassment in the workplace. Privilege. Many people believe that education should be a right, not a privilege. Conceive. After several years of marriage, Will and Cheryl conceived their first child.Counseling. Most colleges offer career counseling for students who will be graduating soon. Outstanding. Only outstanding musicians are able to play the difficult composition. Inspiration. Eric's parents have always been his inspiration because of their kindness and generosity to others.
Discussion Starter starts now!
All right, folks, now it's time for our discussion starter. Roger, what do you admire most about Michelle Obama?
I admire her for her ability to rise up from poverty and go on to become quite successful in law and things like that, because it's not the case for a lot of people who come from poor areas around the world. A lot of people just remain there all their lives.
I totally agree. She's an amazing person because she has been able to make it to the top. Remember, she started out at the bottom there in a very small house on the south side of Chicago, and she made it all the way to the White House, probably the most important house in the world. Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.